What is going on, guys, and welcome to CSS tutorial. In this video we're going to create a horizontal navbar with the drop down menu, and the first thing we obviously would need is some HTML. So I'm just going to create an unordered list. That's how we were creating a horizontal navbar. And then within that unordered list, I'm just going to create a couple of list items. However, within the list items I also need to include a anchor tag, so I'm just going to say href, but I'm just going to use a dummy link over here. So within here, I'm just going to write that this is going to be, let's say, home. And I'm just going to copy this a couple of times over here. And over here, I'm just going to write about. And here, I'm just going to say that this is going to be, I don't know, services. Over here, and here it's going to be info, right? And now I would need to pick which one of these I would want to be as a drop-down menu. So the first thing, let's say I'm just going to do the services. So I'm just going to make more space so we can see what's happening. And over here, we need to place everything within this list item, right? So the first thing that I would need to do is actually create this as a container. So I'm going to call this container over here. And over here, I'm just going to add to the anchor tag. I'm just going to add a class of button over here like this. And within this button, I'm just going to create a div, and I'm going to say that this is going to be div over here, and this div is going to include a couple of links, and it's going to have a class of content, right? So I'm just going to write over here. I'm going to say that this is class, and this is content over here, content, and you can see that I'm struggling with my T. So this is going to be content, and within that div, we're just going to place a couple of anchor tags over here. So I'm just going to say that I have anchor tag, and again, it's going to be href, and it's going to be a dummy link. And over here, we're going to say that this is going to be link 1 over here like this, and I'm just going to copy it a couple more times. And over here, it's link 2, link 3, and let's make like one more link. So I'm just going to copy this and link 4, right? So now we have services and we have 4 links. And we're pretty much done with HTML. Now we just need to jump to CSS and actually start styling. As we go to CSS, the first thing obviously we're doing is we're actually styling an unordered list, right? And if we remember, the first things what we were doing were actually, let's say I'm just going to do the, again, list style type. And I'm going to say that this is going to be none. Then the next thing I would want a margin, and I would say that margin would be 0. Then a padding would be 0. And overflow, let's say we'll do hidden because we know that we're going to be floating these elements. So I'm going to write overflow, and I'm going to write right away write hidden. And let's say the background color, I'm going to do black, right? And we're pretty much done with a unordered list. So you can see that I have something like this. Now going down the line, the list item here, we would need to have a, probably have some type of floating, right? Because we want to float it to the left, we want it to be in line. So we say float left. And again, right now it's just harder to see because of my screen. But if we pull it out here, you can see that right now I have these 3. And you can see that this one has links, right? So this is going to be our drop-down menu. And just for kicks of it, I'm just going to add a border. And I'm going to say that the border is going to be 2 pixels solid red. Just in case if we want it, right? So going down the list, we would need a list item. But we would also need to include a button that we created over here. I mean this class over here. So we're going to include this class, this button class. So I go over here and I write that I would want a button class included, and I would say that I would want them to be display, and they should be display inline block. And the next thing that I would want them to be is, let's say, color, and I'm just going to say green, something like this. And the next thing what we would need to do is probably text align, center. And another thing, we can add some padding, I don't know, 10 pixels, something like this. I mean, it's kind of big, but it works for us. And let's say also we should get rid of this text decoration, right? Text decoration over here. and we're going to say none. So now we're technically done styling actually our navbar. Let's check it out what we have. And obviously what we would need to do right now is somehow get rid of these links, right? But we already know how we would do that. So let's go ahead and let's actually style this services link, right? The one that we would want it to be a dropdown. And we know that the class name is container. So I would say that the container would need to be display, and I would say that display would be inline block. So I go over here and I say inline block. And the next thing what we want to do is actually we know that the class is content. So we say that the class is content, and then we say that we would want display to be none over here, none, like this. And the next thing what we want to do is position is going to be absolute. Over here like this, it's going to be absolute. And let's say another thing that we want to do is obviously add a z index, like say this, like 1. And background color, let's say, let's add some, I don't know, background color should be, I don't know, blue, something like this. So we're going to add background color and we're going to say like this, so it's going to be blue. And let's move on and let's actually style the actual links that are within content, right? So we go down the list and we say that I want to style these links, and I say content, and then I say the link that's the inside a content. And what I would want to do is probably have a color first, and I would say the color would be something like, I don't know, blue violet or something like this. And I also wouldn't want the text decoration. I would say the text decoration should be none over here like this, and I'm just going to write none. And the next thing what I would want to do is I would want them to be display block, so they're not, you see they were in line. So I'm just right now I'm going to doing display block, and that's going to be pretty much it. So now let's check it out what we can do as we're hovering, right? So the next thing probably we could do is actually say, as I'm hovering over container over here like this, I would want a class of content. So I would need to add hover, and I would need to add a class content over here like this. I would want them to be display block, right? So let's check it out what we have. Display block. Now as we go and actually check it out, you can see that how it is that actually as I'm hovering over this link, you can see that I have a drop down menu. And obviously we could have added a hovering over these links, it's changing the colors and all that, but we already know how to all do that, so I'll let you do that. And we can actually float this home, let's say all the way to the right or something. But the simple, just a addition of how we can actually create a simple navbar horizontal, and I just add some links over here. So we can use that as a drop-down menu. This is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.